youngest in the bunch? I have. I mean, I spent a good part of my life being the youngest in the bunch. And what was really interesting, I ended up being the youngest on the block owning my home. Again, I purchased my first home and I was 23 years old. It was May of 1988. And I was blessed to be able to purchase a home from like right around the corner. Not even a full DC block, okay? Washington, D.C., not even a full block, like half a block. You know, they cut some of the blocks in half, okay? So it was a place. That's they cut it in half. It was called a place. But I could actually see the back of the room, the window. I could see the back of the house and where my room was, where I grew up, from the house that I purchased. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So, me being the youngest on the block, though, it's funny because I was in the neighborhood that I was in, you know what happened was my neighbors, some of them remember me growing up. They were like, oh, they were older. It was interesting. It was very interesting. And I don't remember how much they paid. I paid $118,000 for that house that I got, okay? For some reason, I remember that. And I had a 15-year mortgage. I didn't even know what I had at the time. 15-year mortgage. Yep, versus a 30-year mortgage, which was pretty cool. But what was really interesting was the fact that I paid that much for that house, but the people in there, they were the first ones to own the house. It was an older couple, and the wife had died, and then I think the husband died, and that's when, or the husband went to live with a family member somewhere, and that's when they were selling it. And I just found it very interesting that I paid what is that, $118,000 for that, when they paid like $12,000 or $20,000 for that house. And that was a lot of money back in the day when they got it, right? When they built it. But it was like, geez. And then people all like on that block, they were at that, again, they watched me growing up. They were like, when I was little, my mother used to walk us around the block in the stroller, okay? Some of those people were there, right? So I actually bought a house. It was really crazy. I bought the house on there. Very crazy. Well, I was very blessed to be the youngest one on the block. But what it also left me was having to ask a lot of questions on things, because people that in my circle, they didn't have houses. Even people that were older than me, they didn't all have houses at that point. Okay? Now, who you gonna go to ask questions to? Okay? Even with closing, with closing on a house, with, you know, different things to do with the house, it's like you're learning now all together, or you're learning for other people at that point. Yeah. And of course, being a different generation than my mother and so forth, you know, you did things different. It's just different generations do different things. It's not the same. Yeah. Yeah. So it was real cool. Again, I wouldn't change the experience for anything. I do, you know, again, I ask questions. So even me having a house like that is because I went to look for an apartment. My apartment, I already knew in my mind, a single female living by myself, my apartment that I had come back to get, it had to have certain amenities, washer and dryer in the home, I mean in the actual apartment, not outside the door. I'd already done all that in college. Ain't nobody gonna have to put on clothes to go and wash clothes. You understand? That didn't make sense to me. I grew up with washer and dryer in the house, and that's how my apartment needed to be. It also needed to have, my apartment also needed to have parking, like parking, safe parking, so and security. So again, being a single female, it needed to have, I wanted carpet and hardwood floors. I know that might be asking a lot, but and I needed I needed space, I should say. Okay. So multi-bedrooms and so forth. So I had certain things that I was looking for, certain luxuries, if you will, that I was looking for in an apartment, which is what led me to being the youngest on the block to own a house. That was pretty cool. Yeah. So think about that when you're spending your money, because a mortgage is like the same amount for a luxury apartment or less, and you got the house.